Hi, I'm Kelly with Appalachian Wildlife Refuge, and here we are again on the coast of Maine for our Tuesday Tales story. Please follow us on any or all of our social media platforms for updates on animals in our care in our North Carolina facility. And the other great thing about following us on any of these platforms, it lets you know what we need at the facility for our wish list. We might be needing formula or interns or another supply or these tubs for the turtles or syringes. So feel free to follow us on any of those platforms, and we're always letting you know what our greatest need is. So for today's Tuesday Tales, we're going to read Attack of the Giant Squirrel. And I promise you, for the small children, it is not a scary story. And squirrels are one of the most frequent animals that we help at Appalachian Wild. The gray squirrel, the eastern gray squirrel, as well as our opossum. But we have so many squirrels and save so many squirrel babies from nests that trees get cut down and they become orphaned, and then people bring them to our facility. We nurse them and we get them and release them back into the wild. So this is Attack of the Giant Squirrel. Please follow to the end, and we're going to have yet another challenge this week for you. One day, Garner and his dad were walking around the family farm. Suddenly, a squirrel scampered by. "Squirrels are such pests," Garner's dad said. "They dig holes and eat flowers from our gardens." "How can you not like squirrels? They're great acrobats," Garner said. "It's always fun to watch them leap from tree to tree." The positive side. After dinner that night, Garner watched a funny television show with his parents. And suddenly, in the middle of the show, a news reporter came onto the screen. "A terrifying event has occurred in the town of Kruger," the reporter announced. "A colossal squirrel has destroyed the farmland surrounding the town. People are fleeing in fear." "Why is everyone afraid of a big giant squirrel? How big could it be?" Garner's mom asked. She found out when the television showed pictures of that squirrel. It was bigger than a barn. When their cat Jasper saw the squirrel, he quickly hid under the couch. "People who live in Gwynville and Durant, the town, are leaving for safer areas," the reporter said. Garner and his parents were stunned. They lived in Gwynville. "Will the squirrel wreck our town too?" asked Garner. "It might. We should leave tomorrow just to be safe," his mom said. His dad agreed. "That means we have to pack tonight, but pack only what you need. The car can't hold everything," his dad said. Garner went to his room and started packing. He picked up a small tape recorder. "I don't really need this," Garner thought as he set it on his bed. When Garner was almost finished, he heard a tapping on his window. He looked over and saw a squirrel. "I wonder what it wants," Garner thought. Garner opened the window. To his surprise, the squirrel began speaking. "I'm here to warn you about Carl, the giant squirrel. He'll probably reach Gwynville by tomorrow." "How can you talk?" asked Garner, shocked that the little creature could speak perfectly. "I've always been able to talk, but there are few people that I want to talk to," the squirrel said. "Few people think we're pests. Since you've always treated squirrels respectfully, I've decided to talk and to warn you. By the way, my name is Tom the squirrel." "Is there any way to stop Carl the giant squirrel?" asked Garner. "Well, all squirrels are really afraid of cats, but Carl is probably only afraid of really large cats. I hope I've been helpful. Good luck," Tom said. Just as the squirrel left, Jasper walked in. "You're not big enough to scare the giant squirrels," Garner said as he picked up the cat. Then he looked at his tape recorder, and suddenly he thought of a plan. "The squirrel doesn't have to know that you're just a little cat," said Garner. So Garner put a new tape into the recorder and recorded just a few meows from Jasper. Once he finished recording the cat, Garner called Ian, his friend. Ian often did announcements on the microphone at baseball games. Garner asked him to meet him at the baseball stadium in the morning. The next morning at the stadium, Garner told Ian about his plan. Suddenly, they heard loud pounding. It was getting closer and closer. Soon they could see it was the squirrel running and leaping towards the stadium. "Quick!" Ian cried. "Play the tape before it's too late." Garner pressed play while Ian held a microphone next to the recorder. A thunderous meow sounded from the stadium speakers. The giant squirrel, thinking that it was a giant cat nearby, skidded to a stop and looked around frantically. It trembled in fear. When the squirrel heard another meow, it ran to a tree for safety. But all the trees were too small, so the squirrel ran as far away from Gwynville as it could. Thanks to Garner and the people of Gwynville, they never had trouble with giant squirrels again. But they kept a tape of Jasper's meow close by, just in case. Cute, right? Not scary. So a couple questions to think about with your children. How does Garner, the boy, save his town from Carl the giant squirrel? And do you think Carl the giant squirrel will ever return to Gwynville? Why or why not? Make sure you include a reason. So for today's challenge, we'd like to ask you, when you do go make your purchases on Amazon, right? Like we all use Amazon, they come to our house, it's so quick and easy, 2 clicks and we get what we want. Please make sure that when you go to Amazon, you do Amazon Smile or smileamazon.com. Once you're in the Smile Amazon, please be sure to search for Appalachian Wildlife Refuge, and for each purchase that you make we get a percentage and we get a check quarterly, and we take that check and then use it for supplies like that formula that we need. So it's a really simple way to donate, as far as just clicking on Appalachian Wild on smileamazon.com, and a portion of your purchase will come directly to us. So once again, we want to thank you last week for those of you that purchased the formula from our wish list. Our wish list is always there. We update it with the items that we need. Also on our social media platforms, we update every day if we need something specific. And then if you're already on Amazon doing our wish list, if you could just do Smile Amazon and select us, we also get an additional quarterly profit, or stipend, I should say, not a profit. So I want to thank you so much, and we will see you for next Tuesday's Tales.